So ultimately we can't completely abandon third dimension until the balloon goes up, which of course it will, at a very exact time of which no one will speak. I have to say none of the masters will speak about that. They will not give a date. I'm quite clear from what I've learned and from what I've seen and from what I've intuited. It's quite clear that 2012 is not going to be the end of the world. It might be the end of people's interest. One of the things we have to bear in mind is that Noah spent over 400 years building his ark. Now, we lived 900 years in those days. So 400 years, he's building this ark, and people going by, his neighbors, are saying, "No, you're crazy. You're not even anywhere near the ocean. You're building this great big boat. It'll never float around here. And it looks to me like you might spend the rest of your life building it." Well, Noah knew what he was doing. As an Atlantean, he was an initiate, and he was told to gather the species, because someone had to hold the balance in the third dimension. You know, it was one thing to go into higher dimensions in flying machines and transfer energies, but the real transfer had to occur in the physical plane. I pondered this for great length, because ultimately I wondered why we had to leave Atlantis in a boat with Serapis. And as oarsman, I was an oarsman, among other things, but I had to row the boat up the Nile with several others, but that was my job, and that's why I went along. And it was a great honor to be there. Anyway, so Serapis was our king, and he was the man who was leading us to Luxor to plant the flame from Atlantis on the banks there. And later Luxor. There was no Luxor in those days. There was nothing. In fact, there wasn't even a pyramid. El Morya was the architect for the pyramids. And this started to occur about 200,000 years ago. We have no sense of real time, except in the Ascended Master history, which I encourage all of you to learn and to understand. This is a course that we deliver. Ascended Master history is the only course of its kind, I think, on the planet. And it's the only thing that IMU does very specifically that the other universities are not doing. And, there's some validity to anyone who's doing this work. Anyone who claims it is doing the work. The next requirement is how much are they doing the work and who are they doing it with? It's a quotient of their ability to make the right attunement and have the right intentions, because they're not going to tune El Morya with the wrong intentions. With the wrong intentions, they're not going to tune the Buddha. They're not going to tune Kuthumi. They're only going to tune the false Buddha, the false Kuthumi, the anti-Saint Germain. And that will teach them the wrong information. It will teach them some truth, but it will ultimately cloak a flag in there somewhere, a red flag, saying, wait a minute, if I believe this, I'm thinking the wrong way. So ultimately, the masters have given it to us in the third dimension to interpret the law again, interpret the word, and in every age we need to interpret it so the people of this age can understand, well, what is the law? Why is this? Why is this going on? Why do I see in the outer planes all this mayhem and things that I don't care to participate in? And what do I really do about it? How do I react to it? How do I feel about it? What is the best way for me to alleviate the situation or the problem? And it's through peace in myself. So the Buddha teaches that. We learn this through our own integration with the law. And what works tends to prove out every life. And eventually we come to our awareness. We say, well, yeah, this worked. I remember that. It didn't work. It didn't work that time, and it won't work again. So don't try it. Go here. So that's the benefit of our learning, the benefit of our time in embodiment in various bodies and developing various momentums. So the teaching of this particular enclave is that it is time for us to make the calls to be or not to be. And the question is ours to answer. That question is ours to answer, and it is ours to decide to be or not to be.